faith series.
Today, we are back with Jim Hogan, who is going to be answering some questions about the Catholic faith for us.
I'm John Joseph.
I'm Isaac, and
This is Jim Hogan.
We were wondering if you could answer some questions about the saints for us.
Sure, be happy to.
And here to ask the questions are Hannah, Ben, and Jacob.
Okay, let's get started, shall we?
So who are the saints?
Well, the saints are those individuals, those human beings, that by virtue of their baptism carried Christ inside of them, and upon their death, they achieve the goal that all of us aspire to achieve, and that is simply to be in heaven. So anybody that's in heaven is called a saint. Now, the church takes certain individuals within that group of people that are in heaven, and we call it canonize, or make official the fact that they're in heaven. But really, the goal of life for all of you, and they've already achieved it, is ultimately to go to heaven. Your goal in life, here you go, is to become a
Saint.
saint. Great.
Do Catholic worship saints?
No, we don't worship saints. We worship God alone. He is the source and summit of all of our faith. But we admire saints, right? It's important to admire. They can be sort of like lighthouses that are pointing us ultimately to God. In the same way, for example, do you know who this is?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Do you know who this is?
Superman.
Superman. Very good. Do you know who this is?
Batman.
Yeah, well, you all know all these characters because they're heroes. And there's something about the heroic that sort of draws this to them. Now, of course, these guys are just make-believe. They don't really exist. Saints are real-life heroes that point us towards Christ. So it's really important to have them in our lives.
How do we know that they're in heaven?
Well, you know, the Catholic Church never declares that anyone is formally in hell. They leave that judgment ultimately to God. But if an individual lives their life consistent in accordance with that of Jesus Christ, we can be confident that they ultimately achieve heaven. So we can know that they're in heaven because we have hope in the promise that Christ gave us, that if we follow him, we follow his way, we'll ultimately achieve the paradise that we're longing for. We'll go to heaven. So we can hope in the reality of the saints.
Okay.
Sure. Now, in the early church, they often would canonize someone almost automatically based on their life. But over time, in order to make sure that we didn't make a mistake with a canonization of saint, we developed a process. Believe it or not, there is actually a department of saint investigation at the Vatican. And it's their job to look into the lives to make sure their life has been consistent with that of Jesus Christ. So they'll kind of go through stages. Well, they'll declare a particular individual venerable, meaning like a servant of God, admirable, then blessed, and then finally they canonize them an official saint. Again, it's likely that none of us are ever going to become canonized saints, but in a way, who cares? What matters is ultimately we want to become saints because we want to go to heaven.
Is keeping statues of saints okay?
Yes. Is me keeping little figures of Pez dispensers okay?
Yeah.
Sure, because human beings we're visual, and we need to sort of focus our attention on something. What a statue of a saint is able to do for us is it just sort of focuses our attention on the individual so that we kind of make our prayers more effective, more real, more meaningful. So yes, keeping statues of saints is wonderful.
How many saints are there?
167. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really know. As many as there are people that are ultimately in heaven, and we can't really know that. The church has canonized any number. I don't think they've ever, by the way, ever tabulated the number. But remember, there are as many saints as there are people in heaven. So I hope that's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people.
What is a saint that you like?
Wow, that's actually the hardest question you guys have asked today. I have too many. I have so many. Particularly, I think of a friend of mine, Jim Skirl, his name was, who passed away, and I believe that he's a saint. I think about my uncle who passed away. So there's a lot of people that are probably my favorite saints are individuals that I'm very hopeful of their salvation in heaven. But I suppose if you're talking about saints beyond that, you know, the canonized saints, there are many. John Paul the Great. I think he was just a wonderful man for the 20th century who kind of gave the 20th century a way out of its madness, who offered a way of looking at the human being as the image and likeness of God. I love Francis of Assisi. because he's wild and crazy and just abandoned all, to give his heart over to God. So there's probably as many as there are days in the week.
Okay.
Mr. Hogan, thank you so much for taking the time to teach us more about the Catholic faith.
You're very welcome.
Can't wait for more. If you like this video, then like and subscribe for more content. See y'all later. Bye!